My name is Jack Hurd, and I am our Human Resources Director here. Typically, at this point, I would have met all of you in person, giving you a nice handshake and welcomed you to the IU. But unfortunately, in our COVID environment, we're all kind of getting more used to this kind of setting. So here we all are. Just to kind of give you a quick kind of a background. Our induction program is for all of our non-tenured professionals, known by the state to be temporary professionals. In all those cases, we give each of you a mentor. I don't know if you have met your mentor yet. Certainly, probably may not have in person, but that is certainly part of our program tonight. Our program right now is set to go just about an hour. The overall program for the entire year typically takes you out to about 7.5 hours of different sessions and assignments that we give to make sure that you are kind of brought into our intermediate unit and brought into the world of education if you haven't been previously in a very supportive way. So I will tell you, I have a virtual background here, and it kind of, to me, hits at what we really think are important. It's in our boardroom down at 2 Lafayette. And that is our school districts. And if you're not in the school district, if you're part of our non-pub or part of our early intervention, it also represents all of our communities here in Montgomery County. So as you think about working here in Montgomery County, you are part of a large number of communities that support students in various ways to really, basically to better the lives of our students and our families and our communities here in Montgomery County. So very much welcome to the intermediate unit. I know we have several different programs that we have our representative inductees part of. We toyed with the idea of going around the virtual room, but decided not to do that because that'll be time and confusing. But trust me that you have a lot of great colleagues here in our Zoom room with you tonight. And those colleagues are all here to support you. But we have early intervention, we have school age emotional support program, we have autistic program, we have transition program. So we have really representatives from all over our intermediate unit that we were able to fortunately hire as part of our 2020-21 induction class. I'll also tell you, while I'm speaking about that, is we are very fortunate at the intermediate unit to have a really great applicant pool. So the fact that all of you are here with us as inductees tell us a lot about your own qualifications and how great of assets you have, because we did have a lot of choices and good choices in terms of our hiring of staff, and we chose you. So congratulations on that as well, because you certainly, by becoming part of the MCIU, should feel very good about yourselves and what you can bring to our profession in teaching. So Hannah, if you want to go ahead and kind of start our presentation tonight. Hannah Messner, by the way, is my assistant. You want to throw your hand up, or what do we do now in virtual world? But Hannah will be helping us with technology, and she also has a segment later on this evening regarding some human resources functions. So as I mentioned, welcome to the induction program. Our first portion is just some remarks that we have. As you are new to the intermediate unit, we also have a new new executive director. Her name is Dr. Virginia Speaker. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Speaker to kind of kick things off with a few remarks to all of you, and then we'll get started with our program. So Virginia, if you'd like to take over.
Thank you so much, Jack, for the introduction. And to echo Jack's sentiments, welcome. I am so looking forward to the opportunity to actually meeting you in person. Some of the names I recognize. I believe we're oftentimes a very small pool of educators, and our paths cross frequently. And I look forward to our paths crossing in person very soon. We're going to start by looking at our mission for the intermediate unit. And as we advance that slide, just to look at really what it is we do, who we are, and why we do what we do, and to hone in on the service portion of our mission. So we do have a focus on providing dynamic, visionary leadership and effective, efficient services for our school districts, our schools, and our students. And the underlying part of that, which I find, and actually when I was approached about becoming part of the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, what I found so endearing and so powerful were the underlying values that go along with that mission statement. The values of respect and integrity and dedication and excellence and accountability. And now more than ever, I believe those areas and those attributes are critical for us to stay together as a family and to move forward and best serve, most especially our learners in Montgomery County, whether they be young learners or adolescent learners, or in some cases, our adult learners who are really trying their best to give the most they can to students in a really challenging year. So I just want to take a moment to thank each of you. Whatever it is you're doing as you embark in this new adventure with the intermediate unit, please remember to also take time to give yourself a pat on the back and to acknowledge how challenging this landscape can be right now for everyone. And when we're talking about service and we're talking about providing service, that is not only externally, and it's not only to the districts and the students and the communities, but quite honestly, to each of us, to you. And if there is service that you need or additional support that you need, and I really want to thank the administrators within the intermediate unit and the mentors who are supporting, because we are all in this together, and our strength is dependent upon how well we can make that happen. This year, one of the areas we'll be focusing on as our goals, and it really aligns to the Montgomery County goals, the IU goals, especially number 8. So developing a culture of trust and respect and transparency that permeates throughout our organization. And this year, we're really doing a laser focus on the work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you will be learning more about that as we move forward, but I really challenge you and encourage you to get involved with that work. I think our stories are so powerful and so diverse. And the more we can bring our stories to the work, the stronger and the more prepared and the more supported, and quite honestly, the more effective we're all going to be. I am honored to work with you, and I look forward to the opportunity when, as Jack said, we can shake hands, or I guess in our new normal, it will be more of air hugging and high fives. But I just want to thank you for being here and for all you're doing. And I hope your year is off to an incredible start. On behalf of myself, Dr. Landis, the MCIU Board of Educators, or School Board, I really want to thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Hannah, for all you're doing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Speaker. Hannah, if you want to progress really quick to the next slide. We did want to kind of quickly outline for you our leadership team, and you heard from Dr. Speaker, as well out of our Executive Director office is Dr. Landis. And then as you go around this slide, you'll see Sandy Edling, who actually began last year as our new CFO, but Sandy's actually probably our most veteran IU employee, starting with the IU back in the middle or late 90s. We also have Tina Valletto, who's just really a champion for us in Harrisburg and is our director of the Office of Community and Government Relations. We have Gail Kennedy, who's our director out of Technology Services. You already know that handsome guy in the bottom left-hand corner. That is myself. And then we have Dr. Donna Gaffney, you're actually going to hear from in just a little bit, and she's our director of the Office of Professional Learning. We have Dr. Laura Waddell, who's our director of Office of Student Services. And she'll be actually speaking to you as well tonight, along with her partner, Dr. Holly Acosta, who is our director of the Office of Early Childhood Services. And then finally, we have Becky Fogel, who is our director down at our Patan office, Patan East, which is actually in Malvern. And one of the great things we have about our intermediate unit is we do actually also oversee the patent office down in Malvern. So you'll be hearing from a few of our directors here this evening. But just a great leadership in terms of where you can go for resources. We're all very supportive of our induction program, and certainly of all of our new hires here at the intermediate unit. So we just wanted to kind of, at least as best we can here this evening, put names to faces. Additionally tonight, for your information, we actually have a lot of your administrative staff on our Zoom as well. So hopefully you have had a chance to meet with them in person. If not, certainly they're another great resource for you. We're very proud of our leadership team overall. We have just about, I think it's close to 40 in our leadership team that supervise our staff and lead our program. So they're all here to support you. And this is just, I talked earlier about our communities, and this is really a look at Montgomery County. So if you see the impact in the bottom left-hand corner, you see some of our larger programs: early intervention, Head Start, non-public school services, pre-K count, and school age services. You probably find yourself in one of these programs here tonight. These programs, as you see, go all the way from the southeastern part of the county, which is down around Lower Marion, Springfield Township, Cheltenham, but then go west all the way to Pottstown, Pottsgrove, and up north up to Upper Perkiomen. And so we are throughout the county, and this is just really where we have locations and sites, but we also travel to where those students are. So we're in a lot of different school buildings. We're also at daycare centers throughout Montgomery County. There's not many places you can go in Montgomery County where there are children where you don't see an MCIU presence. So we're very proud of the fact that we cover our county quite well. And it's something that you all should be thinking about in your own local communities. And so at this point, I want to hand it off to Dr. Gaffney. Dr. Donna Gaffney is our Director of the Office of Professional Learning, as you saw from the previous slide. And she actually is the one who kind of orchestrates and oversees the professional learning here at the intermediate unit. And she's going to spend some time now just talking through our induction program, what that looks like for all of you inductees.
Thank you, Jack, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to engage with us today after, I'm sure, one of many very, very challenging and hard days packed with hard work. And it's only Monday, so thank you for that. And we're glad to be here with you. You know, no good organization is without a really thoughtful, structured process for onboarding new employees. And in education, it's really important that we're a learning organization. New teacher induction is really a key to our success in terms of serving students throughout Montgomery County and beyond. And I think one of the primary purposes of new teacher induction is, of course, to introduce all of you to the organization. For some of you, you're being introduced to a brand new career. It's the first time you've ever served in a role like this. So it's very daunting. New role, new place, new pandemic, right? For others, it's not necessarily that you're new to the profession. You could be new to the role, or maybe you're just new to the organization in terms of it being a service agency. So lots of different reasons bring you to the table for new teacher induction. But as we make that introduction, we want to make sure that it's a learning process for you. So I'm going to ask you to engage a little bit by using the chat feature. And let's think about, what have you learned so far? During this session, as Dr. Speaker and Jack spoke a little bit about MCIU's mission, about our values, about not just the scope of the work that the intermediate unit does, but the reach of that work. What have you learned so far, either today during the session that you may not have known, or since you started your position from those that you've interacted with? Feel free to jump in and add to the chat, and we'll highlight some of the things that folks are sharing. Maybe some of the administrators and supervisors would like to start with maybe something they've learned since the start of this new school year. Katie, thank you. A message of help and assistance, helping one another. Tara, we do. Some people are very surprised by the number of programs and supports that we provide all over the county. Communication is a really important part of not only surviving, but thriving. in this environment that they're in right now. It's so nice to see this theme of help and support from coworkers and colleagues. And there are many resources that folks can tap into. That's great. Excellent. Teamwork moves us forward in spite of the challenges. And we want you to think about new teacher induction as some of the things that you just entered into the chat, as a resource, as a support, as a way to team with mentors and inductees, and even with your supervisors in terms of guidance and help. So in terms of our program, as I said, new teacher induction is definitely founded on the piece of introduction and introducing you to the organization. But there's a couple other components to new teacher induction that are really important. Those pieces include tools and models that you're going to be able to use to help you acclimate to your new role and to the organization, as well as the new teacher induction program being designed through a process of guided reflection. And as we go to the next slide, you'll be able to see the comprehensiveness of the program. The administrators in the organization work together to design a new teacher induction program that is meaningful and relevant to all of the participants. And you will see throughout this calendar of events, not only do we have large group, whole group organizational activities, we have small group activities that are part of new teacher induction, and they come in the form of your office level meetings. And then we're also going to layer in the one-to-one support that you get through that mentor inductee partnership. The nice part about the calendar is it tells you when things are going to happen, who needs to be there. And we also have a nice added layer in here of important due dates and timelines for the technical things that we need to do, the paperwork that needs to be in place in order to document this process for the Department of Education. On the next slide is the first of two-fold pieces that come together around induction. And the first is this theme of collaboration. So this is the collaborative meeting framework that you're going to use as you meet with your mentor. It's also a great framework to think about when you go and meet with your supervisor. And it's a framework that will prepare you eventually for supervision and evaluation. And what I love about this collaborative meeting framework is that it starts with positives. So you'll see up in that left top quadrant, what are you most proud of? And I'd like to encourage you one more time in the chat. Let's focus on the positive. Let's celebrate our accomplishments. What are you most proud of right now? It has not been an easy onboarding to the start of this school year. Tell me what you're most proud of in the chat. Celebrate those successes, no matter how big or how small. This is Raber. Shout out to the Anderson staff and the resiliency. Thank you. Getting the doors of those EI classrooms open. Flexibility growing. People rising to the challenge with a can-do attitude. And I love this, learning new ways to approach the work, to teach, to reach students, to deliver services. Pushing us to be problem solvers. All great things to have learned over the course of the last couple months. Creativity. It's about mindset, absolutely. And relationships. Montgomery County Intermediate Unit is very proud of the relationships it has with its constituents. So when you meet with your mentor, and when mentors and inductees meet, this collaborative meeting framework is going to always start out with those positives, focusing on those successes, and then building upon those accomplishments to determine where is it that you might need the most help, and where might you be able to grow in our profession. And then the second prong to this, on the next slide, you'll see, is the peer observation piece. And what's great about the peer observation piece is that we provide you the supports you need, the resources you need to be able to go and learn from your mentor. But it's a focused observation. So it's really important that you're really, really clear about the why, or why you're going to go and observe. So as you're working through your collaborative meetings and your meeting framework, and you're identifying areas where you want to grow, leverage that to identify why you are going to, and the area of focus for your peer observation. We want it to be meaningful, and we want it to be useful to you. So later on in the meeting, you're actually going to have a few minutes to talk to your mentor, start talking about when is it that we might get together, and what would be the area of focus for that. So be thinking about that as we move to the next slide. Jack's going to now take you through a little bit of the professional requirements that come with your new position. I'm going to be meeting with the mentors later, and I wish you all the best, and have a great rest of the meeting. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gaffney. And I just, I love the chat feature. I don't love the chat feature, but I really love those chats. There were some really great, I guess, adjectives put into those chats, and just really great kind of areas where you really see with a pride, why we're all proud to be an IU employee. So definitely a difficult time for us here as part of COVID, but great to hear the positive energy coming out of that chat and out of our new staff and our mentors and our administrators. All right, we're going to move into some Act 48. So I think we have a quiz here. Is this how we're going about this? But hey, I'm going to go to the first one. One of the main, and I'll just introduce the topic. Hopefully you're all aware of Act 48, but it is a state regulation through the Pennsylvania Department of Education that you maintain professional development. It is something that is for all certified staff, and it's something we always want to make sure that we keep in mind. So we look at that from a professional learning perspective, but also we make sure that you're getting these appropriate credits. As a non-tenured professional, you also want to make sure your Act 48 then is also then credits that will work for you as you want to get those credits necessary for your instructional 2 or your educational specialist 2 certificate in order to be permanently certified from the state of Pennsylvania. So we're going to question 1. Do you guys already start taking the test? Is that what happened there? All right, we jumped ahead a little bit.
Early, sorry.
Well, that's okay. We're working together on this, Hannah. But this is our little polling mechanism here in Zoom. So the first question: educators must earn the following every 5 years in order to remain in compliance with Act 48. If you guys can go ahead and pull that. Did we get most of our feedback on that? Got 27 responses, 29 responses. I think we have a pretty good cross section there. It looks like the vast majority of our group there has it as D, I believe. So let's go see what the answer is on that. Hannah, thank you. Yes, 71% won that, and the right answer was D, any combination of the above. So that is something that's important to you in terms of getting those credits. You can certainly do them in a lot of different ways. Answer was any of the above. Do you have any questions on that? Looked like we did have some people who answered 108 hours continuing professional education credits. That is certainly one method. And the way they do the college credits is each one of those college credits equate to 30 hours towards the 180-day threshold. So let's go on to question number 2. Good job, everybody. Question number 2 is, when does the Act 48 5-year period begin for those issued either after July 1st of 2000? When does the Act 48 5-year period begin for those issued after July 1st, 2000, which, by the way, was when this law was put in place? I'm loving these answers. This is interesting. Okay. All right. Got a few more coming in here. I think we hit 30 responses. We'll stop the poll. Oh, seems like teetering out around 27, 28. Very interesting. Okay, so we have a really good cross section. So A was employment in the Pennsylvania Public School District as a temporary professional employee. B was on the effective date of the issuance of the Instructional One certificate. And C is upon employment in a Pennsylvania Public School District as a long-term sub or temporary professional employee. The correct answer to that was B. For those issued certificates after July 2000, the 5-year period actually begins with the issuance. I gotta get this thing out of the way. Sorry, I'm in my Zoom thing here. There you go. With the effective date of the issuance of certificate one. And just to follow up on that, requirements will be renewed at the end of each 5-year period. For those issued before 2000, which probably would be any of you, then the 5-year period began on July 1st, 2010. So, and then all moratoriums and compliance were, that's the whole thing in 2016. So, but the correct answer on that was B. So it's interesting. We had a really good cross section of answers on that. So if you are somebody who's gotten your certificate previous to being hired by us by a good bit of time, please make sure you're on top of that. You can certainly work with our office in Human Resources, and we'll make sure you get all the necessary credits to ensure that you are appropriately maintaining your certificate. So, all right, on to the next question. That was fun. So next question is, what is the best way for a certificated employee to check on his or her Act 48 balance? All right, this question might not make the cut next time. I don't know. A lot of people pretty sure of themselves on this one. All right. Well, for those two of you who was logged into mylearningplan.com, you were incorrect, and that one of you had called the Human Resource Office. You're just trying to be funny, correct? So, no, the right answer is you can actually check your Act 48 credits right online through the PD website. So if you don't know how to get there, you can contact the HR office. We'll give you a link. I think our link is also on our HR Connect, which we'll talk a little bit about a little later this evening. But that is the easiest way to get that. And you can just pop your PPID number in there, or I think you can actually search by name and find out how many Act 48 credits you require. So that is the right answer. All right. And then our final, I'm sorry, is that the final question?
Yep.
One more question. All right. What if something I completed is not on the PDE website? Do you then call the Human Resources Office, log into mylearningplan.com, or contact the provider? Got a couple lingers there, but the right answer is actually to contact the provider. So, and that actually is something that does come up. Unfortunately, I think it happened more back in the day, but even now you do have occasions where the provider of those Act 48 credits are not good about getting those credits processed into the state. So we would ultimately, as an HR office, just assist you in getting hold of that provider, but that is the right answer. So that is our four-question quiz on Act 40. I think overall, you all hopefully did well with that. But we just wanted to kind of emphasize the importance of keeping Act 48 in front of you. I know Hannah's going to have some comments later around that Act Instructional 1 to Instructional 2 process. But that is, you know, and finally with Act 48, I guess there's some notes on this page as well. Just keep your information updated. And make sure you're tying all your credits to your PPID number. That is something that was put in place by the state, and you really just become your unique identifier for many purposes at the state level. So make sure that is something you're always tying together, because that's how these credits do get lost. And of course, you got to look at those procedures for universities and how they have guidelines for reporting. So make sure you're doing that. So, all right. Finally, you guys mentioned the My Learning Plan. We do have Frontline, and we are an organization that, if you're a part of our orientation, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but we are very much in Frontline for many of our supporting software. So we do that actually for our absence management. We do it for our onboarding. You would have filled out forms in our Frontline Central. So we also have Frontline Professional Growth, and this is just a really great tool for you to have in terms of both tracking your professional growth here at the intermediate unit, but we also do our evaluations as well through professional growth. So this is something you want to certainly keep your eye on. Our Office of Professional Learning actually uses another great platform for hosting professional learning registration. But we do actually also have this Frontline Professional Growth for you as well to track that. So just want to make sure if you can't get into this, you can certainly contact our office. We'll help you get in. We have been very fortunate over the last couple of years to make the process fairly seamless. So as you all onboarded, you should be having access to all the necessary software, and we haven't had near as much issues, I don't think, with that, Hannah, have we, in the recent past. So that's another great tool for you. All right, and just to kind of summarize that section, it's really your professional responsibility, but we're here to help you. So make sure you are on top of that. We appreciate that. I think at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Gaffney to kind of get us started with our first breakout session. We have different breakout rooms going on here for you to be able to meet with your mentor. So Dr. Gaffney, you can set that up for us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Hannah, if you go to the next slide, we'll see the prompts for the time that you're going to spend with your mentors. And we have some help in the background, putting you all in breakout rooms, matching you mentor and inductee. So as you saw earlier, I shared a little bit about that collaborative meeting framework. We're going to give you a couple minutes to start thinking about how you've been meeting, how you might be meeting, how you can make the most of that collaborative meeting framework moving forward. Also want to make sure that you start thinking about that peer observation. What is it that you would benefit the most from in terms of observing a colleague or a peer, and start thinking about when that might be, date setting and things like that. And then of course, we always want to make sure every time we're together for any type of induction meeting, whether it's an organizational wide meeting or an office level meeting, that you have just time for you to be able to put heads together and be a thought partner, mentor an inductee, and do some questions and answers. So we're going to give you a little bit of time. Jack and Hannah, have you landed on how much time you'd like to allow for this?
I was thinking we'd keep it to about 10 minutes, if that's okay. I think that'll be enough time for them to be able to get through those pieces.
Sounds great. And if you've been in a breakout room before, you should get a warning that tells you to kind of wrap things up and that you're being pulled back. So
1 minute warning for that, Donna.
there you go. Kendall has been the wizard behind the screen, put it together, and she's going to launch it to your rooms. Thanks, Kendall.
Here we go.
Thanks, everybody. All right, hopefully you found that time constructive. We certainly did as administrators, so we found some new features on Zoom, which was great. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to play our music we wanted to, so maybe we'll do that another time. I don't know. Welcome back to all of our mentors and mentees. Obviously, you should be at each other's, contacts on your cell phones and able to reach out to each other anytime you would like, but hopefully that gets you guys off to a good start in terms of some of the induction program planning that we have going on this year. We actually are now due to move into another breakout session where we actually have Dr. Gaffney meet with our mentors, and she is going to go over some different things with them. And then we actually have a handout at my office as well as Holly Acosta and Dr. Lloyd Waddell going through some things as well. So we are going to do a breakout room. I did want to close really quickly to kind of just a couple logistical items, but also going back to that segment that Dr. Gaffney did earlier, I just started writing down a couple of things that were in that chat because I know we're in such unique circumstances right now. I can't imagine if I was starting out my career and I took a new job and this is the environment that I got handed to me. I can't imagine what that would look like from your perspective. But there were some great adjectives that were used. I just want to kind of read them back to you, and something that really kind of resonated. Resilient, perseverance, resourceful, flexible, creative, problem solving, work together. I mean, all these are such kind of powerful adjectives that you were using as either something that's a point of pride for you or something you've learned as you came into the intermediate unit already. So, and those are all just, you know, to me, what we're all dealing with here in this COVID climate. So, as we kind of move into this next segment, I just want to let you know we will not be coming back together as an entire group this evening. So this is kind of how we'll finish with Dr. Gaffney and the mentors and with us and the mentees, or I say the inductees. But I do want to just kind of really wish, you know, keep that positive attitude, that positive frame of mind, because we're all going through a really difficult time. But if you can imagine what our students and our families, our communities, we're all going through this together. So just keep up the great work. And, you know, we will be a time where we'll all be back together. Hopefully we'll be able to finish off a year of induction in May as a group, as a celebration in our Valley Forge rooms at Lafayette. But even if we don't, we're going to persevere through that. And we're going to at some point be back together as an IU family. So good luck to everybody. We will have a follow-up email with where all the PowerPoint presentations are. We're actually recording this session, so that'll be up in the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll have a lot of resources out for you. And we also have some office meetings that'll be coming up. I think both of them will be in the month of November. So it'll be another chance for you to get together in your offices and do more of the induction process. So until then, good luck. And we'll be putting ourselves in some different breakout rooms. So thank you very much, everybody. We have the Professional Code of Conduct, FERPA, confidentiality, Act 82, and then our frontline professional growth. And I'm going to kind of hand it off here to Hannah Mesner. She'll start us off with the PA Professional Code of Conduct. So Hannah, you want to take over?
Yep. Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining today. I'm going to go through some of this pretty quickly, just because I know we've got some important information to go over with you tonight. But with respect to the Professional Code of Conduct for educators, just to give you a little bit of history. So this is actually outlined in statute. So it is basically required for anybody who works in the education profession in Pennsylvania public schools. I'm going to try and navigate the PowerPoint and talk at the same time, sorry. Just kind of want to highlight there are 11 different sections that make up the Professional Code of Conduct. In particular, if you guys are looking for some light reading, I would highly recommend that you take a look at section 4, which specifically talks about various practices and what it means. You know, if you're an educator in Pennsylvania public schools, what is your responsibility? Obviously, there are a lot of various laws that we have to uphold as educators in Pennsylvania public schools. There's also a lot of rules regarding our position. And one thing I will tell you as we kind of highlight some of these practices here is that we do need to kind of uphold ourselves to a higher standard than most of your typical professions. One of the things I will kind of caution you all about, and I think we talked a little bit about it, orientation, is the use of social media and being very mindful of what you're posting on social media, because you never know who's really looking out there. And we as kind of educators and folks who work in public schools are held to higher standards. So people are always watching, whether it's a parent, student, community member, just be mindful. But if you're looking for light reading, we'll also send you the link where you can access the Professional Code of Conduct. You can view all of the requirements that are outlined in there. But there's some helpful information about here. Things that we need to embrace. I know Dr. Speaker had mentioned it earlier, but our job as professional educators is to also accept the value of diversity in educational practices. So I did want to highlight that. That's actually outlined and required of us. So I kind of went through that quickly, but I know I wanted to pass the torch over to both Dr. Lauria Waddell and Dr. Acosta, who are going to briefly go over FERPA. And I believe we have a special little activity. It's much more lively than what I just went over with you guys. I'll let, I think Dan, can you share the screen now, or you need me to stop sharing?
No, we first have to go to the FERPA slide and then we go to the next
Oh,
part.
sorry. There we go. I missed this one.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for passing the baton. We're going to just go over a little bit about FERPA. I want to start off by saying that because this presentation is the way it is tonight, and we're kind of giving the abbreviated version, if you have any questions about FERPA, obviously to talk about it for 2 to 3 minutes, it is not going to do it justice. So if you have specific questions about FERPA after this, I do encourage you to either go to myself or Brittany or one of your supervisors, because FERPA encompasses quite a bit, and it really takes a lot of time to understand some of the more complex situations that might occur that you might run into. So when you have issues or questions about FERPA, please make sure you talk to myself, Brittany, or one of the supervisors within your department, because as I said, we're giving it an abbreviated kind of description tonight, but it can be complex. So the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, that is the official name of FERPA, and it occurred all the way back in 1974. And basically, it's the law that governs the privacy of student educational records. And what Brittany and I are going to do tonight is we're going to go over, or we're going to give you a quiz, but it's going to go over some situations that you might see in the educational environment working with the children. But again, I just want to make sure that we do say that if you have any specific questions, you should come talk to us about it, because it really governs a lot of our educational records and things that we do on a daily basis. So yeah, I think we're ready for the quiz. Hannah, thank you.
So before we get started on the quiz,
Sorry.
can you guys get out like a second type of device, like an iPad or a phone? Because you're going to need to log into Kahoot. Dan, you can share your screen now.
All right.
There's going to be a code. I don't know how many of you have done Kahoot, but there's a website and a code that you have to enter in so you can play along. And there it is. So it's kahoot.it, www.kahoot.it, and then you put in the game pin. All right, so I guess we're gonna get ready. It's gonna ask a question and then it's true or false, and then we'll for the false ones we'll read why it's false. Obviously the true, we don't need to read the answer because you know it's true.
All right.
All right, Dan.
Everyone's in?
I think so.
All right, then we will get started.
This is exciting.
If you have not done a Kahoot before, the statement will be at the top. Okay, and then you have to answer, and you not only get credit for a correct response, but also how quickly you respond. All right. So those
And the
are,
best thing is there's only 2 choices, Dan. So it's 50-50.
that's right. That's right.
Exactly.
And I did keep true and false in the same order. I
Perfect.
did not switch it up on anyone. So I figured it was late in the day. All right, here we go. What's your FERPA IQ? Here comes the first question.
All right, that's right. Pretty much everybody got it right. The answer was true. Good job, everybody.
All right, now we go into the leaderboard, and mystery person is winning. If we only knew who it was.
Mystery person,
It could be anyone. All right. But Liz is in a close second and SL is coming in third. All right, next question.
All right, and again, the answer is true. You guys are doing great. Good FERPA IQs.
All right, let's see who is on the leaderboard. Liz took the lead. All right, still some time for everyone to catch up. Here we go.
Forgot I was muted. So the answer is false for this one.
Oh,
And it's false because FERPA requires that educational agencies and institutions comply with a parent's request to inspect and review education records within a reasonable amount of time, but no longer than 45 days after receiving the request.
All right, this might have shifted some of our leaderboard. Let's see.
wow.
All right, mystery person is off the board. They're gonna have to come back.
And Spunky is making huge strides.
That's right. The highest answer streak of 3.
There you go.
3 in a row. Here we go.
All right. And this one again is false. Schools are not required to mail to each parent that required FERPA notification, but they must provide this notice by any means that are reasonably likely to inform the parents or eligible students of their rights.
Okay.
A lot of people are using their websites now. A lot of school districts, I think, as well as IUs are using websites now. All right, what are we on? Number 5, Brittany?
Yep.
Yes, this is number 5.
Okay.
All right. Spunky took the lead over Liz. Oh, mystery person's back in the top 5. All right, couple more to go.
Oof. I hate to break it to you, it's false. The terms cumulative folder and permanent folder do not appear in FERPA. The term is educational record, and it could be broadly defined in FERPA as any record that is directly related to a student and can be maintained in any educational agency or institution by a party acting for the agency. So it does not have to be in a cumulative folder or a permanent folder. So that would be false.
Okay. All right, a little bit of movement.
Uh-oh. Brittany and I are going to have some follow-up. This is also false. School nurses' records are subject to FERPA because they are educational records. Some portions of the nurses' records also fall under the HIPAA privacy rule, but school nurses' records are part of an educational record because they are held by the school nurse. That is false.
All right.
Brittany, are you spunky?
No. Everybody will have to reveal themselves at the end.
Chris? No. All right, last question.
Okay, this is true. So FERPA provides rights to either parent. We did get into a situation with this question in EI, and we did speak with our legal team. There was a question about permissions, and I do know that there was a change 2 years ago, but regardless, this is true. The hitch here is that sometimes rights may be taken away from one parent or for whatever reason. But unless that's the case, if each parent has rights to the child, that each parent does have rights to gain access to the student's educational records. If you do run into something like that, where one parent's saying the other one does not, my advice to you is to go talk to your supervisor or to talk with myself or Brittany, and we can kind of walk through new laws or situations that you might have specific to your own situation. So that is true.
All right, do we have a drum roll for the leaderboard?
It's exciting.
Here we go. Here's the podium. We got Liz in third place, Hannah in second, and Spunky in
Wow.
first.
Awesome.
All right, who's spunky? Anyone wants to identify?
Christine Raver. Christine
Congratulations.
Spunky.
Yeah, I have a colleague that Dan and I share. I thought Dan would know that called me that, so.
All
Good
right.
job. Everybody did great.
Thank you. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right, round of applause for everyone.
All right, everybody. So I know we're running out of time soon, so I do want to go over just a couple more important information regarding some level 1, level 2 questions, as well as information about tenure. And we're also going to briefly just highlight the professional evaluation process. So for those of you who have either an instructional or an educational specialist certificate, and I think this is one of our first questions that we had asked our Act 48 quiz, but for those who are on a level 1 certificate, you are required to convert your level 1 to a level 2. What this means is that you need to achieve certain requirements and then apply on the PDE TIMS website. Your instructional 1 or your level 1 cert is good for 6 years. It is required to be converted to a level 2, and that failure to convert it to a level 2 could result in your certificate being marked as invalid or lapsed, which could jeopardize your ability to actually work in a school. On the TIMS website, which is through PDE, there is the online application process to convert your level 1 to a level 2 certificate. You are required to have at least 24 post-bachelorette credits, baccalaureate credits, sorry, I said that wrong. 6 have to be in your area of certification. In addition, you're also required to complete the induction program, which is what you're completing tonight. So that's one thing you can check off your list. You also have to have 3 years of service, satisfactory service with the IU, which basically means you have to have 6 semi-annual satisfactory evaluations. Once you have all of that, you can apply on PDE's website called TIMS, which is the Teacher Information Management System. You're required to fill out some pertinent information in there. The IU will fill out some information as well. And then basically what you're emailed or you're notified of your certificate being converted to a level 2, and you can print that out from TIM's website. Just email it to our HR office and we'll put that in your personnel file. So the one thing that I do want to mention about your level 1, level 2 is that it's very different than what tenure is. So tenure and level 1, level 2 are two different, there's 2 different eligibility requirements, 2 different processes. Whereas level 1, level 2, you're required to actually apply online. Tenure is what's granted to you by the intermediate unit. So technically you're hired as a temporary professional employee. And once you complete 3 full calendar years of service, which is also 6 satisfactory semi-annual evaluations, you'll be able to receive tenure, so after 3 full years. And the IU is what actually recommends the tenure recommendation to the board, and then you'll receive a letter from the board indicating that your tenure was approved. Also want to quickly highlight the teacher evaluation process, which is required by Act 82. All of you should be on the formal observation process as a new professional. Your first 3 years will require a formal observation, 2 observations at least per year, as well as 6 semi-annual evaluations over the course of 3 years. So once you have 6 of those, we will be looking at tenure, and you can also consider applying for your level 2. The system that we use, Jack had mentioned, for our professional evaluation process is Frontline Professional Growth. This is the website where hopefully all of you are familiar with, but if not, you can definitely pop on to our Frontline website, toggle down to Professional Growth, and there's where you'll see information about your evaluation. As we mentioned, as a non-tenured individual and in your first few years, you will undergo the formal observation process. So your supervisor will evaluate you and observe you, and you'll note that in our Frontline system. All right, I went through that pretty quickly, but Jack, do we want to do a quick little overview of our HR Connect site?
Actually, what we can do is we'll send out a link to the group. Our HR Connect site's a new Google site. We actually put it up over the summer. And that HR Connect site has a lot of great information for all of you. But there is a section in there about the induction program where we actually have all the forms out. We're also going to put the PowerPoint presentation and the recording of this session as well out there. And all the forms you have, regarding the peer collaboration and as the different forms you work on with your mentor would be out there as well. So that HR Connect site is right off of our MCIU connection site. And I would encourage you as a new employee to go into that site and just kind of, go around a little bit and some great information on the site. But I think we are ready to wrap it up. I know we went a little bit over tonight, but we hopefully felt like it was chock full of information for everybody. And of course, the Dr. Acosta and Dr. Lori Waddell had to show us up with the Cahoots version instead of just our simple polling that we used in HR. So, but no, that was really great. So thank you guys very much for setting that up and try to have a little fun there during the presentation. Next up, for our student services is on November 12th. That's a Thursday night. And they'll have an office level meeting, going a little more in depth in terms of the student services side for you. And on early learning, you'll be on November 18th, which is a Wednesday. We're certainly be sending out reminders regarding that next session. We also will make sure that we record all the attendance and things of that nature for you as well as we move through the program this year. In the meantime, we wish you all the best. Thank you for our leadership for joining us tonight and being part of this. And for your mentors, mentees, I should say, or inductees, have a great rest of your night and good luck. And thank you for all you're doing here for the intermediate unit. Thank you very much.